Good morning. Welcome to Sacred Enzyme. So we're back for our second video of the morning because I want to share some interesting stuff that I have found out that is more evidence. Like I said, we're looking for the clues that are hidden in plain sight, and we're following the symbols and also following the archaeology, because we've got to follow this archaeology. They're uncovering things. The mother spirit of the planet is giving all of the secrets up right now, because now is the time. I mean, it's so incredible how the universe works, and that when you're in a particular age, that you truly do channel down the thoughts and just the whole energy from that particular epoch. And with us being in the age of Aquarius, we are discovering so many things. So I want to start out this discussion, and I want to talk about some interesting discoveries that I came across with the early philosopher, theologian Plutarch. Okay, so Plutarch wrote in his works that the Gulf of St. Lawrence and the Great Lakes were navigated by Grecian explorers 2,600 years ago. 2,600 years ago, that they navigated and came through the Great Lakes, and they were here. They were here. This is almost 1,800 years before Columbus ever got here. Okay. The second thing is that Plutarch wrote down that the Chinese navigated California's coast 2,500 years ago. That Genghis Khan, same thing. Same thing. Exploring and finding routes. So we had lots of early civilizations that were here. The Greeks, 2,600 years ago. So we're looking at potentially 2,600 years ago that these structures could have been built in the United States, all around the world, South America, and everywhere else. So I found that very interesting. They also just discovered a full, perfectly preserved Hermes statue in Bulgaria when they were doing an archaeological dig. That this is the first one that they've ever found there. And they found it cleaning out the sewer system. And they thought that it was intentionally buried. Because, the Christians, this Christian movement was coming in, and they were knocking all the Gnostics out, And so they considered them pagan. And then I want to talk about archaeological dig that was in Pompeii. Okay, so they've been doing this archaeological dig in Pompeii for quite some time, and they're just finding stuff all over the place. Well, they just found this semicircular tomb that had like this large bench that was built into the front, and it had this feet on it were lion claws. So we're talking about in the age of Leo is what I'm guessing it could possibly be going back to, and what they found was that this was a general called Numerus Agrestinius, and he was over this military conquest that was trying to take over Spain, northern Spain, and they were after they were trying to conquer this group of people called the Autrygoni. Autrygoni, and this is a little before Jesus came into the picture. So this was before the age of Pisces. So these Autrygoni people, there's like hardly any information on them, but you go back and if you go back and you start looking at these groups, you start to realize that we're kind of getting back to the same Indo-Iranian group, these Miriam kings, and this is all back to mother worship. Anything that's Mary, Miriam, Marie, I mean, it's just 100 different deviations of Mary. They were all these group of people that were honoring the mother, and they were here. And it was like, it turned into this Hellenistic stuff. And then you've got these group of people that came out of this. You have the Etruscans, you have the Greeks, you have all of these people that are all intertwined with these people. But you have these four different groups, and I want to talk about Dalmatia, because Dalmatia, they talk about this in the Urantia books. They talk about this city named Dalmatia, and this was an extremely old city, old. And Dalmatia was where the planetary prince resided, okay? And what they mean by planetary prince is like Archangel Michael and all the other incarnations of the Sophia doctrine. We've got Sophia, which was the Eon Mother, the first emanation from God Almighty, Absolute. She was the first emanation. And then came the archangels. So the planetary prince was living in Dalmatia, okay? So now if you go back and you start looking, you can find Dalmatia on the map, on the world map. Of course, the name has been modified a little bit, but 2,700 years ago, there were a group of people called Illyrian, Illyrian, kind of like Aryan. I mean, you can kind of see the word in there, right? These Illyrian people, Illyrian people, they mixed with the Celts. They mixed with the Celts people. Guess where they ended up? Yeah, Iberia. Then you had these other groups. You had this one called the Enchelei, Enchelei. Well, they were settling on the western shore of the Balkans. So is this where we get the Basque people? Are these Basque people from Dalmatia? I think they might be. I think they might be. This is where we get these Rh negative genetics from. The other one was the Autrygoni, but you know, let's talk about the Sabine people. Okay, these Sabine people, they've been persecuted for eons, and the reason that they have is because they have Gnostic beliefs. All of the Gnostic people have been, you know, they have been persecuted beyond belief. They've been pushed into the shadows. They've been murdered. You know, they've been almost wiped from existence, as we have this whole world turnover where we've got the darkness trying to consume the light. We've got evil trying to overtake good. And there's not a whole lot of stuff on the Sabine people, but they are Indo-European people. Indo-European people. Marian people. So, you know, we're going right back to these people. And the other thing that I thought was pretty interesting was that when they were talking about Pompeii, they were talking about how there's like, how they found all of these like kind of like what you'd consider a modern day safe, you know, like a gun safe, a big gun safe, but these were made out of wood and metal, and they were chests, like your old cedar chest type things. That they had some kind of really strong need that they had to lock stuff up, like they were being robbed a lot. This is when the Romans were in Pompeii. So maybe they were experiencing uprisings from the people they were trying to oppress, which were the people that were there before, you know. When they come in and they take over, when the Romans would come in and take over a place, they'd offer to let the people become citizens of their empire. You either shit or you got, you know, it was shit or get. You either accept it or that's just tough, you know, that's the way it was. So yeah, maybe these people that were there before the Romans came, you know, and these people also became, you know, these Etruscan people were there too before the Romans came in. So, I mean, did the Sabine people lead into the Etruscans? You know, because we had all of these people that were living in Italy long time ago before Rome came to power. And, you know, I also thought was interesting is that Pompeii was originally settled by the Oscan speaking tribes, which is, they're all Indo-European. The Greeks, the Etruscans, the Sabines. I mean, all these people, Illyrians, all these people. They were these Oscan speaking tribes. and they all ended up in Iberia. They all ended up in Iberia. And the other thing that I wanted to add before I wrap this video up is how I was talking about looking at the agriculture, you know, because they were turning these people into farmers and teaching them how to do animal husbandry, right? Well, I've been looking at these oranges because, you know, I'm talking about the golden apples all the time. And, you know, the golden apples obviously is an orange. And oranges have a lot of very good vitamins. And so you need vitamin C to be able to properly absorb your vitamin K, which is a blood builder. It's a blood builder. You need C to help the K, just like you need C and K at the end of a letter, like stick. S-T-I-C with a K. You need the C with the K. And so when I was looking at the agriculture, and I started looking at these orange varieties that I found when I was in St. Augustine. And one of the original varieties of oranges was the pomelo, P-O-M-M-E-L-O. And the pomelo orange grew in Dalmatia. It also grew in Spain. And they planted it in St. Augustine. So one of these original varieties of oranges, heirlooms, was a pomelo. We call them pomelos here, but I'm sure that I'm saying it wrong because in the South, we always enunciate things the wrong way. So the pomelo orange was growing in all three of these places. So how ironic is that? How ironic is that these people that were living in this Mediterranean basin were so stuck on growing these fruits and these vegetables? And, you know, we've got the golden apples, and they make such a big deal about the golden apples. And you know, just Heliopolis. I mean, Heliopolis going back to Egypt. And then, you know, they did find they found a grave of an Egyptian princess that married an Iberian Celtic. I don't know if it was a king or what, but I'm sure it was a king. You wouldn't have a princess just marrying a nobody, right? But she was from Egypt. She was from Egypt. So the Egyptians were in Iberia. They were involved with the Celts. Okay, you've got all of these Indo-Iranian groups that were completely obliterated, or they tried to obliterate them and ran them out. And I think that it started around the Mediterranean because, you know, they were set up. They had everything there. They were wealthy. And so the Illyrian people, the way that I understand it, they weren't going down without a fight. You know, these people fought like mofos. But, you know, I thought what was super interesting is that the Illyrian people are rumored to be descendant from a cyclops, a giant cyclops. So I was thinking, oh, okay, that's pretty interesting. And then in Southeast Asia, they found these old coins. And this ancient, these stamped coins, or they were like buttons, and they had on them a serpent, a horse, and a turtle. And it was like an intertwined stamp. So I thought that is really interesting because we were just talking about the mother being personified as a water horse. Remember, we were talking about a hippopotamus? And then the turtle represents, and they show this turtle with a person on top of it, which I thought was interesting because they used the turtle to represent the planet, which I thought was really interesting. And then we already know about the golden serpent. The golden serpent is the divine knowledge. So what was going on? What was going on? The proof's coming out everywhere. We've got the serpent and the horse and the turtle being merged. Then they found a 150,000-year-old Neanderthal body in southern Italy. So if that just doesn't go to show you how old that this area around this Mediterranean basin is, I don't know what to tell you. And this Neanderthal man, they can't even get him out because he's upside down and he's like encased in rock. So, I mean, that is really interesting. And then they also, they found a Hellenistic Apollo temple. Where did they find that at? Maybe I didn't write that down when I retransferred my notes, because it was all turned into chicken scratch. But yeah, I mean, what do you think about that? What do you think about that? I mean, the information is just tying in. Just is tying in one way and the next. So, I mean, it's 15 minutes has gone by. So I just wanted to share that information that I found on all these new archaeological finds that are being shown every day, that these Iberian people, they came to the United States. These people could have been here, you know, anywhere from 2,500 years ago up until, you know, like 749. You know, we know that they were doing architecture in a lot of these homes at the year 700. So, I mean, they could have been here a couple thousand years before. I mean, we had all that information that was hidden in the Grand Canyon that looked like it was Southeast Asian in origin. Well, that's because they were here long time ago, baby. A long time ago. It just goes to show you that everyone that is in the world, they're just immigrants. We're all just immigrants. We come from everywhere. Is anybody really native? I mean, seriously, we all came from somewhere else. We had to move for necessity. We moved out of necessity and survival. So, you know, we are a one world group. We are a one world group. And we've got to step out of our egos, and we got to get into our purpose. And we got to come together so we can embrace the mother, balance the earth, balance the planet, and go into a great age, a golden age. Go back into the golden age. And we can do it. And we can do it. So with that, when you come and find me, I'll be here, because we're living in the past, the present, and the future, all at the same time. So make sure you go outside today and put your feet in the grass, set your intentions for today, and give thanks to the mother and the father, and say, this is going to be a beautiful day. So thanks for watching Sacred Enzyme, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.